Los Angeles. You have your boy Groovies, and we have
Ariel. I'm here. Hello.
She's here. Today we're going to talk about how to pick a great name for your brand.
Good topic. Good topic.
Very good topic. Tell us why.
So the first thing you want to think about when creating a brand is obviously the name. What are people going to call you? So the first thing you want to think about is what's going to attract your customers to your brand, to your e-commerce site, and to your platform. How are you going to get these sales? So the first thing that you want to do when thinking of a brand name is what's going to attract my customers. What's going to resonate deep enough with my customers to where they're going to want to purchase something from me. For example, a brand might be called Forward March Apparel and might have, ties to maybe marching band or military. It resonates with them. Another thing that you want to look out for is social spreading availability. And what I mean by that is, can you turn this name into a hashtag or something that can be shared on social media in order to get your brand around and have people's eyes on it. You want to make sure that your brand is something that's easy to remember and not too hard to spell either, or that can be easily confused with another name.
Easy to remember and hard to forget.
I like that. Ooh, I like that. That was great. That was awesome.
Cool. So, why else is picking the right name important?
So, I would say a couple other, things that you should be on the look for is it something that can be abbreviated? Is it something that can be remembered? And is it something that, can be spread easily and just resonates with your customers? They're going to want to go to your website for a reason, and I think that having a good, strong brand name is the first choice in a customer's mind of, yes, I want to support this brand.
Yeah, it's like the sniff test.
Almost.
You're like, does it smell right? Yeah, it smells right. All right, let's keep going with this thing. So, all right, that's awesome. Thanks for all the right reasons. I think one other little reason is if you pick the wrong brand name, it's impossible to change.
Forever.
Once you've built it up, you can't really change it. You can kind of rebrand it or put a little tweak on it, but you can't really change it once you got it. So you kind of got to get it right the first time. All right, now let's get to the meat of the issue, which is how to pick a name or how to create a name. And there's kind of three different types of names that are out there. There's made up names, you got your Nike, your Adidas, all of Reebok. Wow, 3 shoe ones right off the cuff. I don't know how that happened, but so all of those names, somebody just invented them. And the great thing about a made up name is that if you can corner the market on that name and you get recognition for it, you've won. People come looking for you at that name. But there's some dangers with it too. If the name is hard to spell or hard to understand or hard to say, or people don't know what it means, you're kind of fighting an uphill battle. It's hard for people to immediately relate unless you have a huge advertising budget or can get in front of a lot of people. So you kind of just gotta think about that if you're gonna go make up your own name. You can also use real words to create your name. So there's a ton of examples of this in streetwear. You have the Supremes. You have Diamond Supply Company. There's just so many. A Bathing Ape. These are all real words that people understand. Supreme, that's a word, and it already has built-in meaning and structure to it, so it's easy for people to say and understand, and so it can kind of catch on and spread more quickly because you have a foundation of everyone already knows the word, and you're just building your brand on top of that and around it. Then I guess the last kind of big naming strategy is to use a real name. A ton of luxury brands do this, Gucci, Prada. Almost every designer label is a real name, a Kate Spade, even if that's your real kind of fake name. Stussy, a bunch of, I guess there's a lot of surf companies do this too, right? Hurley, O'Neill, Stussy. So those are the 3 different categories. And before we go further, it's you should probably pick a category, the type of name that you want to go after. It'll just help further on in picking your process. It's hard to say well, either I'm going to name it my name or this other thing, because those are just very, very different ways to go about naming a brand. So just something to consider there. The next thing that you should do once you kind of think about how you want to name it, if you're going to use real words and not just your name, is there's a really simple exercise. You want to talk to people about the exercise or no?
Yeah, I think I kind of remember the steps that we just went over. So the first step is to think of your brand and what your brand's going to represent. Whether that be maybe a humorous brand or a surf brand or a streetwear brand, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that the name sticks with the overall aesthetic of the brand. So then you want to narrow it down to 2 to 3 ideas that you can test. The first 3 words that you're going to think of are nouns that resonate with your brand. The next 3 words are adjectives that go along with your brand, and then we have 3 verbs that go along with your brand. Once you have those 9 words, make sure my math's right, I have to calculate that in my head. Once you have that, you can write down your ideas and narrow it down to 2 to 3 that you can test out and kind of ask people, hey, let me give you a name for a brand. How do you think it sounds? What do you think of it? Get some feedback. Feedback is always good.
Feedback is 2 thumbs up. So with the idea generation tool, you're gonna end up with those 9 words, and then you could take one of each word and combine and make a 3-word brand. You can make it's like a Scrabble. You just mix and match those things around and see if anything jumps out at you. It's just a brainstorming exercise. It's just a way for you to get a lot of pieces of data and words that are going to be meaningful to your audience, and start kind of mixing them in interesting ways to see if anything jumps out at you. When you get 1 or 2 things that jump out, you want to do testing. And what do we mean by testing? We mean talking to real people. Ideally people in your audience. So if you're going to be going for marching band audience, you should show up where marching bands are. And if you're scared about going up and talking to people, don't be. Most people are super nice, and they'll give you 30 seconds or a minute of their time for free. And they'll give you good information, great insights that you would have never thought of. You could come up with a great idea that you love for a brand, ask 3 people about it, and they all say the same thing, and you're like, nope, that's not what I want people to think about when they say, when they hear my brand name. So that one's out. Especially if you're testing in your target market.
For sure.
You're gonna get that feedback immediately. You don't even need to test 10 people. So if you're scared of talking to people, just go up and say, hey, excuse me, I know I'm bothering you right now. Just admit the fact that you're bothering them. It'll totally make it less awkward. But do you have a minute? Can I just ask you a quick question? And then tell them what you're doing immediately. Hey, I'm thinking of starting a brand, and I just want to ask you if you like the name. Then say your brand name or whatever your idea is, and ask them, what was the first thing that came in your head when I told you that name? Mm-hmm. And then write down what their answers are, because if you're going to talk to 3 or 4 people, one person, you're going to want to hear what you want to hear, right? But it's important to write down what people are saying, so you get cool, I talked to 10 people, 1 person said what I want to hear, but 8 people said something different. Maybe you could do better with a brand name. The last thing is, take into consideration what people say and also what they do. If you say, hey, the name is this, and people are like, what? Or people are like, huh? If they're having trouble understanding it, it's just, you can if people are willing to talk to you about it more, ask them if they could spell it, how they would spell it, those types of things. That's especially important if you're making up the name. If it's totally made up from scratch, that could be a big issue. And then the last thing that you're going to want to do, let's say you test it with a bunch of people, it's 2 thumbs up, it's resonating, people are like, oh, that's cool, when's your brand launching? Oh, I want to get in on it. If they start moving the conversation forward and want to know more about it, that's a good sign. So the next thing you have to do is, you have to start doing research to see if you can actually own that name for apparel. So make sure you watch our other video about copyrights, trademarks, patents for your clothing line. We'll put a link right up there to make sure you can get after that. That's the next step. So yeah, please do that. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you, Ariel, for all of your help.
Thank you.
You've been amazing. If you like this video, or if it was helpful for you, comment, subscribe. If you guys had a horror story with a brand name or whatever process you use, please share that below in comments. And don't forget to subscribe for 1 video per week.